Today I have one of my really good friends, Daniel Walton. He's the CEO founder of Patient Acquisition.
We've helped scale single clinics to 9 figures. Hims, they have a $50 million per month marketing budget. You're competing with companies like that, so we won't even talk with people in the GLP-1 space if they're not willing to dump $30,000 a month into ads. We've contracted over 1,000 content creators just in the weight loss space alone over the last 3 years. E-commerce companies spend 80% of their budget in Q4, which I literally witnessed them sell $29,000 to one person of skincare, of everything. A nurse will never be able to do that. A doctor will never be able to do that. You need a salesperson. I've invested over $250,000 into learning everything that I know. You are a sales and marketing organization. You have two problems that you're solving for at any point.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Aesthetics Millionaire Show. Today I have one of my really good friends, Daniel Walton. He's the CEO founder of Patient Acquisition, which is a tremendous agency, digital agency for high ticket, high performing telehealth, peptide, medical weight loss clinics in this space. He's done a tremendous job of coaching clients, scaling businesses. So I wanted to bring him on today to talk about the state of our industry, what some of these 7, 8, and even 9-figure clinics are doing to scale their businesses. Welcome to the show, Dan.
What's up, Neil? Glad to be here.
How did you? Let's start with a little entrepreneurial background for everybody listening. How did you get into marketing space? What did you do before? What led you to this journey, this path, and into the medical weight loss and aesthetic space?
Yeah, so always loved marketing, been passionate about it. Had a few businesses before that I did all the marketing for. And then did one of Tony Robbins' events where he was just talking about how you're compensated based off of the value that you provide to the world. You know, it was always like something like in the back of my mind, like a vision that I had of just having this marketing agency. And going to that event, it was a virtual event during like COVID, so we couldn't go in person, but going to that inspired me to just like go all in on marketing. It was kind of like a side hustle. I would help people with their branding, graphics, website, whatever needed to get done. And then, yeah, shortly after like making that decision to go all in on the agency, hired a business coach and joined a program where he had me niche down. When I was in college, before I started my first business, I worked as a histotechnician. I would process skin cancer. So I'd work in like dermatology offices, cosmetic surgery centers, hospitals. So I just knew that space very well. So that's why I chose like initially med spas. I don't really work with too many med spas anymore because they don't really spend enough money for me to like cover all of my costs. Like you said, I do more high ticket, like a lot of cosmetic surgeons, dental clinics, and then I really like the telehealth space. So that kind of fell on my lap when I was doing med spa marketing a little over 3 years ago. One of my med spa clients, I was just chatting with them, hey, what's like the hottest thing? And he's like, semaglutide, like we can't even keep it, you know, it's going so fast. And that was my first time hearing what semaglutide was. I didn't even hear that word before. I didn't even understand what word he was saying. We started marketing that a little over 3 years ago. And then, yeah, now we've had some pretty large players. We've done content for some of the largest telehealth brands. I mean, 9-figure brands. We've helped scale single clinics to 9 figures. And I really like that space a lot now. So that's kind of where I see a lot of our trajectory and just the growth and just the overall market. I think people are a lot more receptive now to telehealth than, you know, they were 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is exactly part of the reason why I advise some of my clients not to advertise GLP-1s is because you're working with clinics or with providers, national providers who are dumping tens, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions in marketing, and they're dominating the space because they're being seen a lot more often by these people, and they have volume leverage for pricing. They can make their offers more competitive, and they're willing to pay more dollars to actually acquire these clients and retain them. So I was like, hey guys, like for most of our clients, I'm like, if you don't have LegitScript, 1, you shouldn't advertise it. 2, if you don't think you're going to be able to convert every single person that comes in, it's probably not going to be good ROI for you. How can, if you're a med spa, I know you have a lot of experience with both med spas, telehealth, wellness, working with some of these bigger players in the space. How can some of these smaller players prepare themselves into the new year? What are some of the best practices that you see your high performing clients doing that could help some of these other players kind of get their stuff together for the new year?
Yeah. Yeah, really great question. I would like to just go back on like what you said. It's so important to like know what lane you're in and like what your capabilities are. That's like the first thing we do with any business is just audit like where they're at as a business to see like what's actually possible. You know, Hims, they have a $50 million per month marketing budget. You're competing with companies like that. So when you step into the GLP-1 space, you're absolutely right. You have to be LegitScript certified. Don't even waste time like marketing or advertising that through any advertising platforms. There's a lot of agencies that actually not just agencies, but agencies, telehealth platforms, and I'll just like set the record straight. If you and your website are not, your website you own is not LegitScript certified, you're not a compliant business advertising these platforms. So, or advertising these products. A lot of agencies and telehealth providers will say, I'm LegitScript, or my pharmacy's LegitScript, my providers are LegitScript. That doesn't matter. Facebook is going to look at your website. Google is going to look at your website. Is your website that you own LegitScript certified that we're running traffic to? If you don't have that process, I would not advise doing that because you're just going to run the risk of getting your ad account shut down, and that's going to just really hurt your cash flow and growth. And then if you do get that, you know, just do it right. You're going to need a $10,000 to $20,000 minimum for like a really good website, and we won't even talk with people in the GLP-1 space if they're not willing to dump $30,000 a month into ads because, again, like you mentioned, there's some big players, so you have to compete with that. And you have to have the budget and infrastructure, which is, you know, the front end website, everything seamlessly integrated, and then the content strategies that are needed to scale and do that effectively. So
I'm just going to add something to what you said. Like you said, there's a lot of people who are trying to circumvent the LegitScript, which, you know, in itself is kind of a monopoly, we know, and has become, you know, it has definitely added barriers to entry or barriers to perform. But a lot of people are trying to advertise this as something else, like the skinny shot, right? The slim shot, whatever it is. And I mean, we've seen some really bad things happen to our clients who were doing this. And we've, you know, and I just tell people, like, you're running out of time if you're doing this, and eventually you're probably going to get you. So,
yeah,
you know, and people are just trying to milk it now. And you know, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't, and in my opinion, it's better to rule on the side of caution.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I see is a lot of people see this opportunity, just like all the business owners that see this as an opportunity to sell GLP-1s. There's probably equally as many business owners trying to sell services to these business owners who are trying to market it. And you have to ask yourself, is this person who's guiding my decision, are they interested in the growth of my business, or are they interested in getting a paycheck from my business? And, you know, not very few agencies and partners, integrators in this space, they care about like the actual value they provide as a business. That's why I like what you guys do. You guys have a good model for, you know, 6 and 7 figure med spas to like really get the ground, you know, hit the ground running and get results. Like, for me, I'm not coming into a deal unless I know I have a very high probability of making money off this. And most businesses, I don't think they really understand what they're in this space for, which is to provide service, provide value so that the business can then make more money, or to provide service and to provide value so people can lose weight. So you really have to get clear on like what your values are, what you're in business for, and then ask yourself, like, are these partners that I'm working with like equally invested in the vision and what I'm moving toward? And a lot of times they're not. People are just trying to sell services. So back to your original question though, like, what should people do if you're not compliant and not LegitScript? A great easy channel to start driving sales is influencer marketing. That's been like a workaround that we've used. We can partner with influencers. We can partner with affiliates and content creators. We've done that for a lot of our clients. We've contracted over 1,000 content creators just in the weight loss space alone over the last 3 years. We've scaled two businesses to 7-figure run rates with influencer marketing, where we would contract like 50 to 100 plus influencers. They would still have to go through the whole process, get them on the medication, document the journey. It's a slower process, like it's not immediate results unless that influencer has already been with a client promoting them, getting results, and you're able to convince that influencer, generally through money, to start marketing for your business. Those can do well.
Can you talk a little bit more about, this is a channel that I'm probably least familiar with, but can you talk a little bit more, like if a business wants to, let's just say one of my med spa clients wants to add another marketing channel and they're looking for influencers. I know you've done a great job in this vertical. What's a definition, or what makes a good influencer for them to be successful as additional marketing channel for a client?
Yeah, it's not so much about the influencer. I mean, do they have a baseline understanding of content creation? If yes, it's not about the influencer. It's then about their audience. Who is their audience? Like, where is their audience located? So if you're doing a med spa, you're not going to get big time influencers. I would actually advise like staying away from those, because their audience is generally going to be more global. Where the med spas and smaller brick and mortar clinics are going to be able to really dominate is going to be through the micro influencers, a couple thousand followers to tens of thousands of followers. We see a tremendous success rate with like personal trainers, local like influencers that might do like food channels or food content. They already have like a niche following in that specific industry. Think of like a trainer that at like a busy gym, like especially like I live in Newport Beach. We have some of the busiest, like nicest gyms there are. A trainer might have like 100 plus clients that come to them throughout a week. They might have thousands of like cult like followers that they want to dress like them. They want to listen to the same music as them. They do everything that trainer does. You can get somebody like that who is going to drive like pretty significant results to the clinic, and they're just going to be able to promote it in front of people who are actively spending, investing in themselves. So it's really more about the audience than the influencer themselves, like, because essentially influencer marketing versus paid ads, you're white labeling their audience to be in front of that influencer's audience, and that's how the deal gets done. Versus paid ads, you're paying the platform to place it in front of the people that you want. So both of them can be effective. I think a lot of people don't know how to negotiate with influencers. They don't have clear expectations. They give too much without getting enough back. So what we do is very like performance based. Hey, you have to post this. If they don't post, like we immediately cancel contracts with influencers. It's going to be a numbers game. Not all of them are going to be good. I would say majority of them aren't going to be good, but the ones that are good make up for it. So just give it time, 3 to 4 months working with influencers, having a content strategy, having a foundation of here's the posting schedule, here's what I expect from you in return. And don't only look at it as just a conversion mechanism. Look at it as a content creation mechanism. Now you have really good content that you can use on your social pages, that you can use in your advertising campaigns. And social proof is going to drive a lot more conversions from the other marketing that you're going to do. So there's a lot of additional benefit that you don't see immediately just from doing, only tracking the conversions per influencer. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Let's what are some of the other best practices as far as like planning is concerned for the new year, for Q1? We all know, both you and I are very, very aware of the New Year resolution season, which is a nice public psychological phenomenon. So, but hey, listen, I think understanding mass psychology is super important, right? That's number one. But what are some of your clients like? How are you helping your clients prepare and just plan ahead for Q1 in the new year?
Yeah, so right now we're pretty much already set. Like we've already built the content strategies. Weight loss season is going to be January through June, so that's going to be great for a lot of the offers. Any of the peptides that you offer, any of the hormones you might offer at your clinic, any of the GLP-1s. I'm assuming body contouring picks up as well. Then you're going to just want to hit the ground running. So what we're doing about 50-50 split on our content production and our like messaging strategies. 50% going toward the New Year's rush, like getting, hitting your goals, and then 50% more toward like evergreen content that we can continue using for the rest of the year. So that's pretty much what we're
Can you
doing.
talk
But
about that a little bit more, just for
yeah,
people who don't know the terms and stuff like that? What, just let's define it.
when you create content, there's certain costs incurred with it. So we're always trying to be as economical as possible, not only in the cost of the content, but is that content going to make more money than the cost that I put in to make that content? Meaning, if I hire an influencer or content creator, we do a lot of UGC content and I pay $400 to make a video, I need to know that that video is going to generate thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue possibly for that business long term. So evergreen content is going to be an ad or, a post that I can use at any time of the year. Hey, if you're looking to lose 100 pounds, or if you're looking to, I wouldn't do any outrageous claims like that, but if you're looking to lose weight and tired of your clothes not fitting, we offer GLP-1 services. That's going to be evergreen. New Year's resolution focused content is hit your New Year's goal, right? That ad you can only use for the first like 30 days of the month of January, and then you can't use that ad in July. So that's what I mean by evergreen content. The evergreen content, we can create an ad and we'll be able to run that forever. So you always want to have a blend of that, especially like Q4, we did a lot of blended content because as you know, e-commerce comes out, 80% of e-commerce companies spend 80% of their budget in Q4, which is mostly during Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and leading up to Christmas. So that 4 weeks of marketing is like the most competitive. Everybody sees slowdown in their schedule, slowdown in their leads, inflated costs, like all of those things happen. So this is where you need that very specific content strategy, that messaging strategy. Black Friday specials, Cyber Monday specials, Christmas specials. And when you have that specific, for example, you could run $100 off as like an evergreen ad or as an evergreen offer, and you can run that all year round. All you're going to do is now make that specific to whatever season is upcoming or whatever special thing is happening in the world. So in this case, it would be like $100 off New Year's resolution special, hit your weight loss goals, or whatever that is. So by doing that, what will happen is now you'll see your costs drop because it's unique. There's some scarcity around it. There's some urgency around it. So it just leans into some of the, the psychological triggers that you can lean into as a marketer.
Wow, that's a lot of good stuff. Let's talk about paid ads. And I know you're big in research and doing your due diligence and kind of getting familiarized with all the crazy shit that Meta does. But let's talk about the Andromeda updates, just some of the newest, latest, and greatest in that and how it's changing the advertising game.
Yeah, so everyone's heard of AI. Everybody's probably using AI now.
No, you need it. What does AI stand for?
The GNRs might not be, but yeah, AI is it's changed the game. Facebook announced, I think last month, that there is officially more content being published by AI than content creators. Or there's more content being created and published that's being created by AI than actual humans and content creators. So what they saw is this surge happening. As you guys know from uploading content, it takes time. These are like actual hard assets that have to get uploaded to the internet. And now the sheer volume has increased by like literally 10,000 times from what it was before. So Meta saw this coming. They invested $60 billion this year into AI infrastructure, and they're going to continue investing that every single year to keep up with the sheer volume of increase of content. And even before AI, just content in general was, everybody knows they need to be on social media. They need to be creating content. Everybody's trying to build a personal brand. So this trajectory of total content production has just drastically increased over the last few years. And what Andromeda is, it's the infrastructure to analyze that content at scale. They're trying to make it much easier for you as an advertiser to get results. But what you have to do as an advertiser to get results is have the right content. So Andromeda is one of the 3 systems that Meta invested in. One of them is just pure processing power. It can just handle way more content. It can process and analyze more content. And then there's which you've got Gem and Lattice. And then, as you know from launching ads, like now they add all these AI amplifications. They can like do split tests for you. It can create like different versions of the ad. I think none of them are work. They're a waste of time. I don't like running any of the recommendations from Meta, but essentially they're trying to make it easier for the advertisers to be profitable from ads. It's actually made our job much simpler. Now, where the real emphasis is post-Andromeda is our messaging has to be very dialed in. Our content has to be very dialed in. So previously, you used to hire a media buyer or an agency, and they would have these crazy strategies. They would 5% of the budget toward a views campaign. Then they do a retargeting content cycle, bin retargeting people who viewed so much of that video. And then once they would view those videos, then they would target them, and they would do these interest stack and target very specific interests. And then they would do this conversion campaign. And it was a really intricate process. Like there was a lot of data involved. There was a lot of strategy involved in how you set up these campaigns. Now with Andromeda, all of that's irrelevant. None of that even matters. The AI has gotten so much stronger and more powerful. It processes 10,000 times more creative volume than it used to. It's analyzing your content and it's placing the content in front of the audiences. So now, and this is from Meta, their engineering department, consolidation is more important and going to get you better results. So one of the biggest things I see when I take over an account is I see they've got this campaign going, this campaign going, this campaign going. They've got all these campaigns going and they're trying to target the same audience and get the same people. And it's like, why would you do that? So for a med spa, if I was a med spa, I would consolidate everything to one campaign because we want med spa clients. Somebody who gets Botox is likely to get filler. They're likely to get lasers. They're likely to get body contouring. Now, you might segment some of them like to weight loss versus aesthetics. Yeah, that's probably the only segment that I would do. I would have two separate campaigns.
Yeah, body versus face.
Yeah, I would. If I was a med spa, this is the exact funnel I'd run. I'd create a VSL. Hey, we're this med spa. We help people hit their aesthetic goals, their fitness goals, their health goals. We offer body contouring packages. We do injectables like Botox and filler. We do lasers. So if you want your skin, cleared up, we have everything for you. A quick 3 to 5 minute intro video about their clinic. And then I would create all the different content about that and just dump all of that in one campaign, run it as a lead, and just make it very generic to the med spa. Now you're going to be set up for best practices for Andromeda. Now you can run 15 to 20 unique pieces of content, each one being about the different services you want, versus previously having to put all of your budget into, we're just running a laser campaign or we're just running a Botox campaign. And what happens is now Andromeda is able to analyze who's ready to convert. It's listening, like these phones are listening to you. These phones are like, if you go and scroll, I guarantee it, if you scroll right now, if you're watching this, the suggested content is going to be more scroll stopping than any of the content you follow. That's how smart the algorithm is. It knows what you want to see better than you do because you're not even following the content pages that you want to see. So that same predictive AI that's pushing the suggested content, pushing the explore content to your feed that you stop the scroll and get engaged with, that's the same AI that's pushing all these pieces of content through the ads. So if you can align your content and your messaging to where the AI can read it and then know who to place that in front of, you have like really good time. So what you'll see, what that looks like for most advertisers, they're going to see a lower cost per click, lower CPM, higher click-through rates on their ads. And then all of that, as you know, translates to lower cost of acquisition, higher profitability from these campaigns.
Yeah, that's super helpful. The only point I would make, and I'm going to make a segue into this because it's important. Typically what I tell my clients, though, because when we talked about advertising multiple services, the strategy we usually take is you should do a body campaign, face campaign, and not have to advertise multiple services, because if you don't have a large budget, you're going to be diluting that ad spend, right? So
yeah,
to me, if it's like you have a proven body contouring offer and you sell high ticket treatment plans for body contouring and cross sell GLP-1s, and then we know that Tox is probably going to produce the most volume most consistently at a really low cost per acquisition. Let's just start with those two or one of them, put the budget there, focus it so you can get the most volume. And I know people want to advertise everything, but it's like, on the lead down the stream with the lead conversion stuff, it just becomes a little bit more convoluted as well. So I know that since like, for example, we do the appointment closing for our clients, having a ton of different offers is typically a disadvantage. And especially, if somebody has a smaller budget to start with, when you get to bigger budgets, you can definitely start playing around a little bit more with like having more different types of various campaigns. So that's just a few cents from my end of things.
Yeah, for sure. It does depend on the budget. That's also why I don't work with too many med spas anymore. Their budgets are generally pretty small. Like I don't work with anybody that can't dump at least $10,000 to $20,000 in advertising for telehealth if they can't put like $20,000 or $30,000 into ads, and that doesn't include any of the content or management fees. I don't even consider working with them. I don't even hop on calls with people like that because I want to make sure I have enough juice and scale to cover all of my costs, all the content costs, and have a high probability of being profitable within 30 days of spending on ads. The budget is everything. If you're not spending enough, you're going to just have to put 100% of your budget toward, like you said, proven offers, very direct response heavy content. And that's what you're going to do. I mean, you're a sales and marketing organization at that point. You have to just really convert a lot of leads, put your emphasis into the lead conversion aspect, which I know you guys help, but how do we take that lead that, came in the door and how do we upsell them packages? I have a client, they do about $250K a month for their clinic. They run all super like basic offers like $49.99, $79.99. I don't even think they've ever done anything for $99, but they have like skin tightening, under eye stuff. They don't even employ a single nurse. They want to be very profitable. Every single person he hires, he puts them through a $6,000 sales training program. And they're wizards. They understand, run a good offer, get people in the door. Because at $49, like for a skin tightening, it's like, what do I have to lose? I'm not asked. It's only $49. I don't know you from anywhere. I've never seen you before, but I want to get skin tightening. So I'll go in, I'll show up.
Let's stop right there. Because this is a really important point about offers. And you and I both know offer is king, and sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to devalue my services, or I don't want to discount, or I don't want to do this. I don't want to run this offer. This offer is too low. And I always tell people, I'm going to let you comment on this, but like I always tell people, I'm like, one, people have a million options. Two, like you said, people don't know you. They don't trust you. They don't have a relationship with you. And you're not a brand. They're not buying shoes. You're a services company, and people buy services from other people. So you have to give them a reason. Unfortunately, everybody thinks they're the most important person in the world, and these days, and their time is worth gold.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? That's kind of the mass psychology of the population. So anything else you want to add as far as like the offer, and then we can talk about, you were talking about sales and how important sales is, which is another topic we should explore. But how important it is, it's really a numbers game, right? Like that we're trying to get as many people in the door to create as many opportunities for ourselves for long-term relationships with these clients or patients. So anything else you want to add on the offer side of things?
Yeah, I mean, with the offer, like you're not discounting your services. You're giving somebody a reason to walk through the door and give you money. Once they've paid, you don't have to discount your services anymore after that. You can actually be the most premium person ever. We just have, if you don't have the content in place to showcase how much of an expert you are, that you're a double board certified surgeon, whatever that is, if you're not willing to put in the infrastructure, which is going to be content and then paying to get that out, you have to rely on an offer that's going to get somebody in. So for me, it's like if you're spending, less than $5,000 a month, I would even argue like less than $10,000 per month on, maybe not quite that much, like maybe $7,500. If you're spending less than that per month on ads, just put 100% of your budget into getting a good offer that's irresistible and converting leads. The problem is most people, they take marketing advice from these gurus who haven't actually been performance marketers, or because of Apple never devalued. I want to be like Apple. It's like, you're not like Apple. Apple's a technology company. You're a med spa. You're a service provider. You have to get leads and convert leads. You can't base your decisions off of companies that aren't even running in your model. So It is so important. The offer is everything. And I've consulted on literally the biggest telehealth company in the country. They have over 300,000 patients. They're bigger than Hims. He sold a very small portion of his company for $400 million. He understands it too. The offer is everything. It's very important. But with a good offer, it gets people in the door. It gets them to give you the information. And then now it's up to you to convert them, right? Do you have an ascension plan? Do you have upsells? Do you have cross sells? Do you have a good salesperson that can talk with them? Because even rich people, who doesn't want like a good offer, right? Who doesn't want to save money? So you're like, and you don't have to run it forever. Once you get your book of business, you don't need to rely on it because you should be good enough and build that brand and that reputation to where you're getting those referrals. But a good offer is always going to be an easy way to get people in the door, to get people to do business with you. And then it's up to you, your experience. What is your patient experience like? What's your consult like? What's your sales process like? So with that particular client, they hired only estheticians. Every patient that would walk in the door would come in for literally like a $49 offer, upwards of a $79 offer. And then what they would do is they'd do a 3D face scan. They would get their age of the face, and then they would go and see the esthetician for their treatment. And then the esthetician would ask them what their goals were, what their expectations were, kind of what they wanted to achieve. They would walk out, hand that over to the salesperson who would be dressed in a lab coat. This person had no medical experience. They were purely a salesperson. They would walk in and sell them multi-$1,000 packages. I literally witnessed them sell $29,000 to one person in person of skincare, of everything. And that's what a salesperson can do. A nurse will never be able to do that. A doctor will never be able to do that. You need a salesperson. Now, can a doctor learn sales and do that? Yes, but you need a trained salesperson who knows how to sell high-ticket packages. And when you do those offers, that's how you can be wildly profitable on them, which I know you provide a lot of that coaching and consulting on that. But yeah, that's how you need to make money from those offers.
Yeah. Do you think eventually what is your thought behind, because a lot of your strategies involve running UGC content in ads, so you're putting paid ads behind the organic content, or you putting a budget behind the organic content. Do you think that's going to influence the actual organic content? Are we going to see more of that where we're just putting money behind the paid content, or how do you think that's going to do versus like just posting that organic content?
Yeah, I think organic content takes like 6 to 12 months to build that trust factor. You also have to know content, and content is expensive. I would argue it's more expensive than paid advertising to hire a good content creator, a content strategist, like somebody who actually knows how to generate leads and has a proven track record generating leads for a business through organic content. I don't think you can do it for less than $5,000 a month. And I know some strategists that they're not creating any content. They charge just $5,000 a month for just the content strategy of, here, now you have to go create this content. Here's the concepts. Here's what you need to be doing. Here's the distribution plan. Here's the split of the content you need to create. So it's, I would say, more expensive than paid advertising. And with one UGC video, we can pay a content creator. We can pay creative strategists. We can put together a UGC video for like $300 to $400, really high quality. And we only have to do it once. And that ad can generate revenue for months, possibly years. And I like ads too, because I can immediately get in front of the people that I want. Now, the challenge with ads is if you're not fully async, like an e-commerce business or a telehealth company where they can just do the purchase and checkout, your ability to close is going to directly affect how much money you make from that. So organic has a benefit in you don't have to be that good at sales to close organic leads. It just takes a really long time and really good content to nurture those people to then get them to a point where they convert. You're not going to post your first video with very little followers and get a bunch of people to sign up. But as you stay consistent, as you get better at creating scroll stopping content, you then get shown to more people. You're going to get trusted, and then people are eventually going to get nurtured and converted. Where paid ads, like, we can get people interested like right away. We can get their information right away. But if you can't convert them, you're going to have a really bad time.
Yeah, lead conversion. I feel like lead conversion and the sales pieces are so critical. They're so critical.
Yeah. Yeah, I let go of a client this month. I told him, I was like, look, if you don't get your sales in place, like this is going to be our last month working. I'm putting in way too much time and effort training your sales team, holding your sales team accountable, hand holding in sales. I'm a marketing organization. We're experts of marketing. I am not going to help businesses get their sales in place. Like you have to do that. And, I gave him a bunch of referrals too, but he's going to get all that in place. He wants to still work with us, but I'm like, look, you need to get some sales reps. Like, I'm ready to grow. I want to hit some numbers here, and if you can't convert these leads at the scale we need, like I'm not interested in those kinds of deals.
Yeah. What do you think is going to change in 2026? Like, what are some of the trends you're forecasting? I definitely believe that the organizations are going to spend a lot, get their sales and marketing marriage together, and really just realize like, hey, like now I really need to focus on conversions, whether it's lead to appointment conversion, appointment to show rate to a close rate, all that stuff, and just really starting to address the downstream. What else do you think is gonna happen? I definitely think that the competition, has been fierce. The economy's been down this year, so I see a lot of people go out of business. I think it's going to be the competition is going to continue. Obviously, I think people are going to have a fresh mindset into the new year. But what else are you predicting for 2026, Daniel?
Yeah, I think peptides are like really blowing up. So as a business in this space, I would really look into how we can sell more peptides, how we can market those better. And there's a lot of creative ways that you can do it without having to be LegitScript certified. Because I think a lot of people that want peptides probably want a lot of these other treatments that med spas offer anyway. So it's like this person that's already coming through your door, how do we remarket to them? So I would really look into peptides. I would become experienced. The biggest way you can make money when times are bad is just be better. I think a lot of people don't want to be better, and that's what I see. For me, as much as my filtering of the business operations is important to make sure I take on the right clients, I'm also filtering the business owner to make sure they're investing in themselves. I've invested over $250,000 into learning everything that I know, from coaching to programs to mentorships to sales training, to become who I am and be able to provide more value to my businesses. Are these business owners investing in skills as well? As we've talked about a lot, sales and marketing, right? If you're a brick and mortar, you are a sales and marketing organization. You have two problems that you're solving for at any point: sales or marketing. If you're getting leads for your offers and you're not converting enough of them, you have a sales issue. Put all your emphasis towards sales, and you're going to see more and more money come in. If you're getting, you have a good sales team, but the leads aren't converting, or generally it's like the not the right leads, or you're not getting pickup rates right, you need to fix the marketing. It's very easy to just diagnose what the marketing issue is. Like if it's a click-through rate issue, if it's a funnel conversion rate issue, you can just look at the numbers and do the math and focus on like, how do we improve this? If I can improve the click-through rate on my ad from, getting it from a 0.5% up to a 2%, I'm going to see like almost a 350% increase in my conversions just from that single measure alone. So just really focusing on the skills, I think, is what's going to help businesses win in 2026, and just becoming experts. A lot of people want these peptides. I think a lot of people don't know who to trust about peptides. Is this legit? So providing value first and just being a good source of information for people, I think, is really going to be how you separate yourself from everybody else. Like provide education, provide value. It always comes back to you. And then just be better than everybody in your sales and marketing.
Yeah, that's some solid advice for sure. What's up for 2026 for you, Daniel, and you guys at Patient Acquisition? Sounds like Patient Engine, pretty close. So our sister company. What are you guys planning? What are you guys cooking over there?
Yeah. So this year I'm excited for, we've changed up our model a lot. We run a fractional CMO model where I handle all the marketing for the business. I hire and have the best team, and those deals I'm very involved in. So what I'm doing is I'm making it much harder to work with me on those deals. I only want to maintain a handful of clients for that I have massive impacts, and we have massive growth, like 8-9 figure trajectory. And then the thing I'm most excited for is my course that I'm launching and AI tool. I've been building an AI tool that I think will help a lot of businesses get 0 to 1. So essentially, everything that we've been doing to generate our marketing, how we use AI, what systems we're using, I'm just putting all of that together in a course. And that I think that's going to help a lot of businesses. So that's like really what I'm looking to use, because I think there are just like a lot of like, really shitty agencies out there. I obviously refer you guys clients, when somebody's not in a position, they come in, apply to work with me. I'm like, hey, look, you guys just aren't even in that position yet. I got a great referral for you. But most agencies, they don't do the work. They're not willing to, put in the time and effort, and they don't understand what they're hired for, which is like to make businesses money. So 2026, I'm just really being selective of the clients I take on, and making it a lot easier for other people, I think, to get a baseline understanding of marketing, get a baseline understanding of sales, and to get some really good assets that they can create. So how to create UGC content, how to create the ads, how to create the VSLs, everything they need, just empowering them so that they can make more money from their limited budgets. I can't work with a lot of clients that are only spending like 10 grand or less on ads. It's just not worth it for me. So how do I provide them some value so they can get to that point of spending $10,000 or more and then want to hire me and work with me? So
Is that
that's really
course
what I'm.
available right now, Daniel, or is it coming out?
Not
When is it?
yet. It'll be out probably in like 2 to 3 weeks. If you follow me on YouTube, that's probably the best way to get access to it. But yeah, that fire your agency, the goal. And it's not just for aesthetic providers. I really want to help service providers as a whole, because I do work in other industries. About 70% of my clients are aesthetic or weight loss telehealth clients, but the other 30%, I work in all different types of businesses. I'm on a capital raise offer, raising $5 million in capital for a business. My largest client's a mortgage client. They have 1,200 employees. I have real estate clients. I have B2B medical device companies. So I can help any marketer, or any business with marketing. It just comes down to like the economics of the business, and is it worth it for me? So I'm really trying to make this for all service providers, and just impacting all the different businesses, because I think a lot of business owners, they think I need somebody that specializes in my industry, and at times it can help, but it's not needed if you're not skipping the steps in marketing, which is like, do I understand human psychology? Do I understand copywriting? Do I understand how to audit the entire journey and see what the bottlenecks are? So if you know what to do, I don't think having that niche specific stuff is as relevant. But when you don't know what to do, having somebody that's proven what you do, that specializes in what you do, can definitely help, and it can accelerate the growth going like 0 to 1.
Beautiful. Daniel, where can people find you and connect with you if they want to follow your content or scale their business?
At patient acquisition on Instagram, that's one way. And then, at Daniel Walton on my YouTube channel, I'd say that's probably the best place to get like more value. I provide a lot of free value. I really just want to help people make more money. If they get value, I think they're eventually going to want to work with me and hire me. And so if you're not checking out my YouTube, I would highly encourage that. There's a lot of free game, a lot of free information out there that can make you more money.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on. Daniel Walton, patient acquisition, guys.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it.